This is the Dynasty Roundtable podcast, and we are here today to give you a kind of rapid fire top 24 rookie rankings post NFL draft. We're going to try to do it in 30 minutes or less to make it more of a, digestible podcast. We're really going to test ourselves tonight. So, Matt Babich, any thoughts before we get going?
No, I think we ended what was our last podcast, so I'll open it this second podcast with this. The draft didn't go the way we thought it would. I think some can have a negative. It's a glass half empty. The glass is halfway full or empty, depending on how you think about it. And that's this class. You either choose to be upset that the guys like Devin Neal and Ollie Gordon didn't get the draft capital that we wanted to, or you can really sift through and take a look at the depth charts and see what happened and say, maybe there are some statistical outliers here, but there's a lot of potential value to either, trade away or gain for a short period through this season at the very least. So I think, choose to be an optimist about this class because there's still a lot of value out there.
I agree. And if you missed it or if you haven't seen it yet, there's a whole episode, NFL Draft Winners and Losers, where we basically riff for like 30 minutes on the NFL Draft just because we hadn't talked about it. And Matt and I like to talk about football, so go check that out. This episode, we are going to be breaking down our top 24 rookie rankings post NFL Draft. It will be Superflex, tight end premium, and some things it's nice that you can depend on. And it's death, it's taxes, it's Ashton Jeanty at the 101 in tier 1 all by himself. Do we need to add any more to this conversation?
No, I think we thought that there was going to be a tier with Jeanty, but I think even considering the landing spots, like I think Jeanty has potentially created that separation again and just deserves to be. I think when you're the unquestioned 101, you're in a tier by yourself. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, and honestly, if it doesn't cost you an astronomical amount, I would not be opposed to trading up to the 101. I've come to that realization because I think heading into the draft, there were some skepticism out there about Ashton Jeanty, and now that he's officially been drafted in the top 10, top 6 to a really good landing spot with the Raiders, like, I think it's for real, and I think he's for real, and he's a guy I want. So I'm willing to make that happen within reason. So I'll move to tier 2, and our tier 2, and honestly, like, these are Seth's tiers, so Matt doesn't really have anything to do with these tiers. The rankings are accumulation or a cumulative score between Matt and myself. So we have Omari and Hampton, and we have Travis Hunter in our tier 2 at 2 and 3. And Matt, you have Hunter at 2. I have Hunter at 3, and then it's flipped for Omari and Hampton. I have Hampton at 2. You have Hampton at 3. So any thoughts on Travis Hunter? Because I feel as though we are higher than consensus on Travis Hunter.
Well, I mean, what have we been saying all offseason, Seth? If he's a receiver primarily, wheels the fuck up.
And he is.
That's what's going on. I mean, I could literally not paint a better scenario for this whole Travis Hunter debacle to end. And that is the Jacksonville Jaguars trading up to 2. Did you hear the way that Gladstone was talking about this guy? They're going to figure out a way to do it, but I do think they start on offense. And that seems to be the consensus view right now. And if that's the consensus view, why is he not the 102 or the 103? I mean, we're talking about this. I don't know. He's an incredible receiver. I think it's going to take some time for him to get developed on the defensive side. And I think we are seeing the bull case being laid out right in front of us. I think it's fine if you have Hampton 2, but I can't put Hunter lower than 3 personally.
The current Jacksonville Jaguars depth chart at wide receiver is Brian Thomas Jr., stud, Travis Hunter, and then it goes to Dyami Brown who I believe is on a 1-year contract. And then after that, we're talking Parker Washington, Gabe Davis, and we all know and love him, Joshua Cephas. Like, the thought that they're not going to utilize him as a wide receiver is, I'll just say this. I think he plays 70% snap share on offense. I feel in between 60 and 70%. And if we get that, yeah, that's more than enough. That's more than enough of a snap share on offense to make him, with his talent, to make him worth the 103. All right, so our tier 3 starts with Cam Ward. And we have Cam Ward, Teteroa McMillan, Trevion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson, and RJ Harvey. Our biggest disagreement here is with Quinshon. I have him at 6, you have him at 9. The rest of the rankings, honestly, were pretty in lockstep. Anybody you want to touch on here to start as I put all of the players up in our tier 3 here?
Yeah, is anyone else up other than Ward? Okay, I just wanted to make sure your computer wasn't frozen. While you do that,
no.
Judkins was the point that was hard for me. I couldn't be more in on RJ Harvey right now, just this offense and what the opportunity level I project him to be. Here is a tweet. I'm going to try and pull it up real quick as I should have been prepared to talk about this, but round 2 running back since 2011 with a 105 plus speed score and a best season total yards per team play rate above 2. This is from JJ Zachariason. Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, AJ Dillon, J.K. Dobbins, Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, RJ Harvey. Now, there's a lot of context to that. Granted, RJ Harvey was much lower in the second round than anyone else, but he is going to be an absolute workhorse for Sean Payton. And he was one of the premier guys of, let's see what the NFL thinks of him. We like him a lot, but the NFL's opinion of him is going to matter in how he sways in our rankings. And Sean Payton said, I love him. I like him more than a lot of people on this list in terms of running backs. And to me, Judkins in Cleveland, bad offense, splitting some time with Dylan Sampson, potentially. I don't like that. Caleb Johnson, who I have right behind RJ Harvey, I love his fit in Pittsburgh as well. What do you think about the landing spot of Caleb Johnson?
Oh, it's incredible. I think he's a better version of Najee Harris. I think he has more juice than Najee Harris. I think he slots into that offense perfectly as an awesome complement to Jaylen Warren, and I don't think that they miss a beat. And for as frustrated as we got with Arthur Smith, he is a capable offensive coordinator who likes to run the ball. And the number one priority of any college team, and trust me, I'm an Iowa fan, the only thing Iowa had was Caleb Johnson. And Caleb Johnson is a freak, and I think he's gonna be the Steelers' running back for a long, long time. So, yeah, I love that fit. We have let's see. So we go Henderson, Judkins, Johnson, RJ Harvey. You have RJ Harvey 2 spots ahead of me. You have him at 7. I have him at 9. Honestly, this section, and you tell me if I'm wrong, this section of the draft, if you get past Teteroa McMillan and you're choosing between any of these running backs, Henderson, Judkins, Caleb Johnson, RJ Harvey,
pick one.
Pick your guy. Just take your guy. Take whoever you, because I think they're all going to be good. I really do. I know that statistically, maybe, who knows, one of them, 2 of them are going to be a bust. I don't think so. I just think all these guys are good. They all wound up in relatively good situations. I mean, RJ Harvey, smash. Caleb Johnson, smash spot. Quinshon Judkins, you're right about the offense, but I still think it's a good situation. Honestly, Trevion Henderson's the guy that I worry about a little bit, but I think he's good enough talent-wise to overcome it, even though it's not much to overcome, really. But, man, I'm still just bitter about him going 1 pick before the Bears could take him. But anyway, just take your guy. That's what it comes down to with this. So we'll move on down to tier 4. It starts with Emeka Egbuka. And then we go Matthew Golden, Colston Loveland, Jackson Dart, and Tyler Warren. Any thoughts on any of these guys as I throw them up there?
Yeah, while you're throwing him up, I mean, Buka was a bit of a disappointing landing spot and a confusing one at that. So you re-signed Godwin for a ton of money, and then you draft Buka. So people are saying, well, maybe Godwin's recovery isn't going as well as they thought it was. Well, then they probably wouldn't have signed him to such a high price tag so quickly if they weren't pretty confident that he was going to be seeing the field. Secondly, McMillan is also there, was playing very well last year, and did some of his best work in the slot. So it's an interesting situation, but at the end of the day, he was taken 19th overall by this team. It's a little bit of the Romo Dunze conundrum or JSN, where they draft him with some high capital, and you're saying to yourself, why? They don't. But what we see 10 out of 10 times is this team has a plan. Like Romo Dunze, I don't think he's just going quietly into the night now that all this has happened here in Chicago. I do think it's going to be a little bit of a bumpy road as compared to what it used to be, but he's not going away. JSN started being a target leader close to the end of the season. Now DK's gone. Now Lockett's gone. He's the main guy there. So we see this progression. So we can't get too caught up in the year one implications for Emeka Egbuka. Golden obviously is a guy who's going to be pretty controversial. I think a lot of people who didn't like him going into it don't like the landing spot in Green Bay. I think a lot of people who did like him coming in are going to like the landing spot. But look, it's a 23rd, it's a first round pick in a room that is desperately needing a true target leader. I don't care what your priors are on Christian Watson. I don't care what your priors are on Dontavian Wicks. And I don't care what your priors are on Jaden Reed. They said we have a need for receiver, so much that they drafted 2 within the first 3 rounds. So we have to listen to what these front offices are saying, and this front office is saying we need more talent at receiver, and they chose to spend first round capital on Matthew Golden, even though a lot of people thought they should be spending it on a cornerback or some other key pieces for their team. So I think that should speak volumes as well. Thirdly, I really like Jackson Dart's landing spot and think he's a solid value where he's going to be going in drafts.
Yeah, I think our position is going to be by the dip on Emeka Egbuka because it's probably not going to pay off right away. But if you're patient and if you're shrewd, Mike Evans is on the wrong side of 30. Chris Godwin's coming off of an injury. Jalen McMillan shined at times last year, but they took him in the 3rd round. They drafted Emeka Egbuka in the 1st round. There is a world where Emeka Egbuka within 2 to 3 years is the leading target earner in Tampa Bay. And they take a wide receiver this early, you think, man, this is a borderline playoff team. I think they made the playoffs last year. I don't remember. So this is a playoff team. You're strong at wide receiver, then why you have to listen to what the team is telling you. The team is, planning for now, but also planning for the future. So clearly, you take a guy in the 1st round, he's a big part of your future. So, and with Baker Mayfield there, I love the long-term fit. Now, for redraft, it's probably not going to happen. Matthew Golden, I don't know how to feel about this. I've gone back and forth on it. I don't think it's this smash landing spot that some people seem to think it is. Just because Matt LaFleur likes to distribute the ball around to just about everybody. They like to run the ball there quite a bit. So if Matthew Golden can become that alpha wide receiver, which is possible, then you're going to get a value here with where we're ranking him as opposed to like where maybe he goes in your rookie draft. I have my concerns about the player. I have my concerns about the landing spot. So I don't know if I'm going to have a ton of him. I will agree with you on Jackson Dart. I think long term, that's another one where if you're just patient, I think he could really pay off. And then the tight ends, Colston Loveland is going to have the same issues as Luther Burden. It's going to be pretty crowded there in Chicago for a little while, but that offense could be really good with Ben Johnson too. So, and then Tyler Warren, is the quarterback play going to be good? He probably has, out of all the rookie tight ends, access to the most target share right away. So I think the talent's there. I think the draft capital's right. And I think this is a fair ranking. So any final thoughts before we move on to tier number 5?
No, actually, I think Loveland could end up being the big loser of this offense, because after Keenan Allen is probably gone next year, and then it's Burden, Odunze, and Moore. And look,
Well, Keenan Allen is gone already.
oh, he is gone already.
Yeah.
It shows how much I've been paying attention. Even still, then year one, you're looking at, maybe fourth on the pecking order in terms of targets. I don't think he out targets Luther Burden. And my primary point was, if he mirrors Sam Laporta, like, we've seen the issues that can cause, because Ben Johnson likes the tight end for how it serves his offense, not necessarily, to feed somebody or funnel targets to somebody. And I think the way that they're distinctly setting up this offense differently than Detroit should speak to that. I think we see less 12 personnel personally when they have this many weapons at receiver. But anyway.
So our tier 5, I think, is fascinating. Luther Burden, Jaden Higgins, Trey Harris. I'm not gonna lie, I love all the players and their values at this, where we have them ranked. You are a little bit higher than Luther Burden than I am. I have him at 16. You have him at 13. You're a little bit higher than Trey Harris, and honestly, I might have Trey Harris too low. I have Trey Harris at 17. You have him at 14. And I have Jaden Higgins at 15. You have him at 17. So fairly close. The biggest disagreement we have is with Luther Burden, but I'm not going to fight that too much. I think that's just, for me, the reason why I have him lower is because of the year one target share. But you seem to think that Colston Loveland is going to be the one that suffers the most and not Luther Burden. See, I would view it as Luther Burden is this year's Rome Odunze, and Loveland, sorry, Cole Kmet, Loveland's just a better player than you, so he's going to play more in that role. So,
well, I agree, but normally when a tight end gets taken 10th overall, we expect them to get Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, TJ Hawkinson level target volume, but I don't think that's him. That's kind of what I'm saying.
No,
I think Colston Loveland's going to be a really good player. I think there are legitimate concerns about what his consistent target volume will be when this offense is at full strength. But he's going to be a red zone threat. Like, I'm not saying I'm fading him in Dynasty. I think there's a good argument for Tyler Warren being ahead of Loveland because of that.
Yeah, I don't agree, but it's not an insane argument to make, for sure. Like, the quarterback play, I mean, can you promise me that,
no,
Anthony
and that's the other thing. I have Loveland one spot above. I'm just saying there's still a lot to be figured out as offensive schemes, get developed here. It's an interesting factor having Burden and Loveland enter this Bears offense with a new regime and a new scheme being developed.
Yeah, the one player I think I might be too low on is Trey Harris, because I have prided myself on being a risk taker in Dynasty. Now, sometimes that pays off, sometimes it doesn't. But you tell me, and Jaden Higgins, similar landing spot to me, but I think Trey Harris is a perfect situation with Ladd McConkey playing the slot. Yes, they have Quentin Johnston there, but he couldn't catch a cold last year. They signed Mike Williams, but Mike Williams is pushing 30, if not 30 already. Trey Harris should be the starting outside receiver to Ladd McConkey's slot and just should open up that offense significantly. I mean, with Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris, obviously they're going to look to run the ball, but all of that feels like a perfect mix to me. And if Trey Harris is good, he could hit, and he could hit in a big way. So Trey Harris is definitely going to be one of my targets in the early to mid second round. Similarly, Jaden Higgins, love where he landed as well. Any final thoughts on these guys before we move to tier 6?
Yeah, with Trey Harris, as you load up tier 6, like, I think he fits into that offense so well in terms of what he's going to bring to the table. Sorry, I was texting back my dad. because
not
what
paying.
that
Yeah.
needed was really a guy to take the top off the defense, and being a X receiver, like a starting X receiver instead of a gadget slot receiver to do that is a lot more versatile for the offense, especially for like a Greg Roman offense based on a lot of play action and based off the run game. He's going to be able to beat defenders downfield, take the top off the defense, keep them honest, push that secondary back a little bit. And he works so well on those in breaking routes too, that he's going to be able to just kind of torch a lot of the defenses that he's going to be faced because of what they're going to have to worry about with the run game with Ladd McConkey. I think it all just works so well together.
Yeah. And I actually put up tier 6 and 7 because, again, these are some fascinating players. Jalen Noel goes a little bit lower than we thought in the NFL draft, round 3, but winds up with the Texans and gets to play with his Iowa State running mate there in Jaden Higgins. Perfect scheme mix, and that it really makes me think that they just could not trust Tank Dell to stay healthy long term. Jack Besh in our tier 6, second round to the Raiders, and it's an interesting fit because you have Bowers there, you have Jacoby Myers, but really not much else. So he could see a nice target share in year 1, and then our tier 7. A couple of the early day 3 running backs with Kyle Williams mixed in there. Bashul Tutin, Kyle Williams, Cam Scatabo. Give me your thoughts here because we could take this in a lot of different directions.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Noel is going to be the wild card, right? You know, how is he going to fit in with that offense? You already got Nico Collins, and I really like the Jaden Higgins pick at first because, you know, similar to the way Matt Harmon was kind of thinking about this, you know, Jaden Higgins kind of feels more like a power slot type of role, not a true, you know, every snap outside winner. And it seemed good because getting drafted the Texans with Nico Collins means that they're not going to have him, you know, force him into that every down X role. And then Jalen Noel comes in at the dynamic slot receiver, and you're like, okay, well, what's that mean for Jaden Higgins' role then? And so it becomes a really interesting dichotomy where I would not be surprised if Jalen Noel outscores Jaden Higgins in fantasy points per game in year 1 because of talent and because of potential role. Now, obviously, I'm not a part of the team. So how they choose to deploy these guys remains to be seen. For now, I'm going to go a little bit more off of draft capital and say, you know, the Texans had multiple chances to draft Jalen Noel. They continued to pass on him, but they took that upper tier, I believe it was the second pick of the second round, and selected Jaden Higgins. So I'm going to put some more stock in that for now. And then Kyle Williams has shot up the draft board because he was another guy like RJ Harvey. Like, what is the NFL going to think about him? Like Rashard Smith, right? Like, I had him high up in my rankings, but I knew there was a chance someone was going to be, you know, 5th, 6th round, 7th round pick in this case. Kyle Williams was not like that, was not like Elijah Badger. He was selected in the 3rd round by the New England Patriots. And I think it was good. I would have preferred maybe a different receiver there, potentially. I kind of wanted Alec Manor, but getting a guy like Kyle Williams who's going to be separating quick. And one of the things that Josh McDaniels harped on, you know, in his offensive time in New England was getting the ball out quick. And Kyle Williams is going to be someone who's going to help with that a lot. And I think it's a great fit. I think the draft capital is nice, so he deserves to be up here with this group of folks.
I just want to touch on Bashul Tutin really quick. Yep. Bashul Tutin, the Jaguars' backfield is fascinating to me. Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, Bashul Tutin. It's a new coaching staff, and the first running back that they add to the roster is Bashul Tutin in the draft. I think that there's an outside chance he earns a significant opportunity share in year 1. Because I think he's the running back on the roster with the most juice. Now, is he the perfect prospect? Is he the most talented running back there? Probably not. But man, if he hits and he can become a starter, that offense with Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, and Bashul Tutin, you're talking about some serious speed and dynamic play. And Cam Scatabo, I like Tyrone Tracy, but Cam Scatterbo's really freaking good. And I think he's gonna earn touches in year one. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the best landing spots for him to go at that fourth round. Even better than where Tootin landed up.
Hmm.
And I think him and Tracy complement each other well, which I think is going to be unfortunately bad for Tracy because the things that Cam Scatabo is good at are things that thankfully, like Tracy last year was just good by proxy because he was just better than Singletary. But in terms of in between the tackles and goal line, like that's going to be Scatabo's job. So that's Scatabo's job, and that's trouble for Tyrone Tracy, unfortunately.
All right, so I'm gonna put up our last tier, and it's gonna be Jalen Milrow and Elijah Arroyo, and I have a bone to pick with you because I would have had Mason Taylor ranked up here, but you prefer Elijah Arroyo. I mean, you were so far down on Mason Taylor, so far down. It's
I'm too
incredible.
low on Mason Taylor. I know.
It's
Well, I mean,
incredible.
in non tight end premium though,
Don't
am
just
I?
but Elijah Arroyo has Noah Fant standing in the way. This has to be
Oh, really? Noah Fant. Whoa.
well, who does Mason Taylor have standing in his way?
Whoa.
Nobody. That's
Tyler
who.
Conklin, somebody that can
Nobody.
actually block.
No, he doesn't. Tyler Conklin is on the Chargers now.
All right. Well, all right. Go ahead and if you're watching this video, comment Matt does not know ball. Just go ahead and drop that in the comments. Yeah. I mean, I kind of knew I was too low on Taylor coming into this. You're starting to throw ranks together, and there's just this big group of people. And I don't think the Jets is a friendly offense by any means. I don't think Mason Taylor is that good of a tight end by any means. And yes, I'm a little hypocritical when it comes to Elijah Arroyo, but I actually found him to be a good pass catcher and a good talent through my research of him. I personally just didn't get into Mason Taylor that much. If I were to quickly look and say where should I probably throw him, because 36 is a little too low, I would say 29. Arroyo 25 in my rankings and Mason Taylor 29. Does that sound more reasonable?
Yeah, that's more reasonable.
Okay.
Also
I feel like
Terrence.
that's more reasonable.
Where do we have Terrence Ferguson?
I have Ferguson 24.
Okay, well we should have had him. Anyway, Ferguson should be in this mix
Let's
too.
talk about Jalen Milrow, right? Because
Okay.
that's who I
All
wanted to
right.
talk about here. Jalen
Okay.
Milrow to the Seahawks, an offense that is putting pieces together, has a stable run game. I really like the prospect of Jalen Milrow for what his value is going to be. I feel like if I have third round picks and can spend in superflex leagues, if I have any shallow quarterback depth at all, I'm probably going to be taking a lot of shots on Jalen Milrow.
Yeah, Sam Darnold, is he long for the Seattle starting job? I mean, this is the perfect situation for Jalen Milrow because he gets to sit. He has a good offensive coordinator. I get it, defensive coach, but Clint Kubiak's pretty solid. He can develop. He can learn under a true pro like Sam Darnold, who's not going to be a dick like Aaron Rodgers. And who knows what can happen. I think it's a situation where yeah, you can take him now, but I also think 2 years or a year from now you're going to be able to scoop up so much Jalen Milrow, like people are just going to forget that he's there. Similarly to, oh, I don't know, Malik Willis. I think he's better than Malik Willis.
Yeah.
But he's if he gets opportunities to start, he is going to be fantasy relevant. This is the difference we have to make here, is that he is not a great starting quarterback right now, similarly to Justin Fields, but if he gets the opportunity, he's going to be putting up fantasy points because of his rushing upside. And that is going to do it for us, guys. Top 24. I just realized the screen on YouTube, we should have been bigger. We have all this space here, and that's bugging me, so apologies for that. We'll do better next time. But any final thoughts for the people before we get out of here?
Yeah, just a quick recap, especially for the podcast audience. I don't even know if we're going to put this into podcast form, but just in case.
Yeah.
Ashton Jeanty at the 101, Omarion Hampton at 2, Hunter at 3, Cam Ward at 4, Tet McMillan at 5, Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson, RJ Harvey, round out tier 3. I forgot to say the tiers. Hampton and Hunter in tier 2. Egbuka, Golden, Loveland, Dart, and Tyler Warren in tier 4. Luther Burden, Jaden Higgins, Trey Harris in tier 5. Jalen Noel, Jack Besh in tier 6. Bashul Tootin, Kyle Williams, and Cam Scadaboo in tier 7. And Jalen Milrow and Elijah Arroyo in tier 8.
And that is Matt
Ferguson. But anyway,
Terrence Ferguson and Mason Taylor I would have over Arroyo just for the record. That is Matt Babich. You can follow him at Babich_Matt10 on Twitter. You can follow me at Seth_Seth. Wait a minute. On Twitter at Seth_DIEWOLD. If I can say words in the proper order. You can follow the show on Twitter at FF Dynasty Table on Twitter. Click the like button. What are you doing? Subscribe to the channel. And until next time, nobody cares about Aaron Rodgers, and we will see you later.